after he went through the alpha reset and just saw who he really was as a powerful man. He's taken the bull by the horns and has led his family, his business to levels that are just absolutely amazing. And when we talk about regrets, like what regrets we have, I asked him, if he had any regrets. He just looked at me with tears in his eyes and just said, I wish I would have done this sooner. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of The Powerful Man Show. I am your host, Doug Holt, with my co-host, Tim, the Powerful Man, Matthews. What's up, bro?
What was with the laugh?
I just love announcing the Powerful Man, Matthews. It's a lot of fun.
I may record it and set up a date night for Amelia. I'll put like rose petals on the bed, run her a nice bath, get some bath salts in there, cook a dinner, and then I'll just be in the bedroom. I'll put her in the bedroom first, let her see the rose petals. Then on my phone as I walk in, I'll just play that. And here comes Tim, the Powerful Man, Matthews.
The expectations are going to be high.
Good.
I'm sure you can deliver, though. I'm sure you can deliver. Well, it's the great thing about being a man is I've said this for a long time in my background coaching forever, is when you get men together like friends, that we all naturally revert to about 13, 14-year-old boys, right? We just have a good time, a laugh, a joke around. I mean, here we are coming off of, the Brotherhood Morocco money mindset. And as I'm presenting, so guys listening to this, imagine this just gorgeous setting in Morocco, almost like an oasis, a pool in the background, greenery, we're in the shade, the surrounded by 14 men, all just, business leaders from around the world, great food on the table as we talk. And then I have a guy sitting next to me who's a master coach, pinching me periodically, tossing little pebbles at me. None of the men can see this, but just the jovial nature that we as men have when we allow ourselves to be free. It's absolutely phenomenal.
It's so much fun.
Well, Tim, it is so much fun. And you and I were talking off air about one of the men in the Brotherhood and his story. And really what it comes down to, and I'm going to let you take this off from here, but what it comes down to is, for the men listening to this, is a question. Are you letting life pass you by? As you look at yourself right now, and if you're by a mirror, that'd be awesome to look yourself in the eyes as you're listening to my voice. But are you letting life pass you by? Are you going to let another moment, another day go by with regret? So, Tim, let's talk about one of our man that we both love. He's in the Brotherhood. But let's talk about his story and what's happened with him thus far.
Wow. Right. So this particular guy was in Morocco and he won Brother's Brother. And for those of you that have played sport, Brother's Brother is basically the equivalent of the Players Player Award. So the Players Player Award is an award voted for by the players, and they vote for the player who they believe has helped the team the most, who has most embodied the team values, really helped the team strive to greatness. And this particular guy won that award, and he got it presented to him in Morocco, a huge achievement. And his wife had written him a letter. And just on a side note, I would love to receive a letter like he received. Oh my God. Everyone had tears in their eyes, streaming down the cheeks. It was just phenomenal. And anyway, in this letter, his wife shared how she was so grateful that he had brought the two families together. Now, a few weeks prior to this, he asked his wife what she wanted for her birthday. If she could have one thing in the world, what would she want? And she looked at him with tears in her eyes and said, my family. And the backstory to this is that this particular guy is a Muslim, his wife is a Hindu, and they fell in love. About 11 years ago, they fell in love. And they went to meet his wife's parents because they knew that this was going to more than likely cause a little bit of upset within the family. And at this time, his wife was living at home with the parents. So he went there, told her parents how much love he had for their daughter, and they wanted to marry her. It didn't go down well. And her parents at that point threatened to take her back to India and do one of two things. Either one, have her married off to another family in an arranged wedding, or have an honor killing. So as you can imagine, by that point, what would you do? You're not going to sit there and let that happen, are you? So what they did is they did what most people I think would do, and they basically ran away. They moved 70 miles away, didn't tell this person's parents, his wife's parents, where they were moving to. So they thought they still lived in the same place. And they moved with his parents, like I said, 70 miles away. And 10 years went by. 10 years. And then a few weeks ago, after she shared the one thing that she wanted for her birthday was a family, this amazing man took the initiative and reached out. One thing led to another, and they ended up meeting a couple of weeks ago. Both families, and this man and his wife. And as soon as they met the father ran up to them both and just held them both in his arms and was shaking and sobbing uncontrollably. Her mother then did the same. Turns out they have health problems now. I'm not too sure how serious they are, but regardless, I think these health problems have really put things into perspective for them. And he said that her father was sat there with his head in his hands for several minutes as the conversation was going on, just saying to himself, what have I done? What have I done? 10 years. Why have I let this pass me by? Why? What have I missed out on? Just having this painful conversation with himself. And it was just out of, I get that there's a religious views and whatnot that, really played a role 10 years ago. But now, 10 years on, they're seeing it very differently. Very, very differently. And when he was sharing this story, it really got me thinking, and a lot of the men there as well. Got us all thinking about, wow, where are we letting life pass us by? Where are we letting our own beliefs or our own stubbornness get in the way of the things that we really desire? Because we want to be prideful, because we want to be right, because we need to be in control. Where is that showing up for us?
It's just such an amazing story and such an amazing man and family. When you think about this, twofold, right? The story and the disconnect that the father created and must be going through to let your child go for 10 years and not speak to them, 10 years of not knowing what's going on, 10 years of not knowing how your daughter is, her safety, her concerns, what she likes, what kind of food she likes, what she chooses. 10 years of just that anguish and agony building and building and building because you've layered this prideful story on yourself. And it's a story that we all do, right? In different ways. But, man, Tim, I can't even imagine the shame and guilt that he must have felt and the ability to release that when he saw his daughter and his son-in-law for the first time in over a decade. Wow.
Yeah, it's phenomenal, isn't it? And the amazing thing about this is that I think yesterday or the day before, it was their 10-year anniversary. And because of what happened 10 years ago, they had a real last-minute wedding. This particular guy didn't see the shirt for his wedding suit until the morning of it. His wife didn't go and get her wedding dress until the morning of the wedding. It was all very, very last minute. So he feels like he never gave her the wedding that she really wanted. And the beautiful thing about this is that, over the next few months, that may be able to change. I don't want to. I'm realizing realizing what I'm saying here. I'm thinking, holy crap! I don't want to reveal too much, and maybe we just edit this bit out because I realized where I was going with that. Then,
guys, I'm interrupting this episode because I want to know: do you feel bored, burnt out, or broken? Discover the system that over 300 businessmen are using to let go of the grind, find inner peace, and unlock unlimited personal power so they can have more time, more intimacy, and better sex while living a life they love without stressing about work or feeling like a fraud. Head over to thepowerfulman.com/11 to see what this is all about. All right, let's get back to the episode. It's really tough when, we as coaches and mentors work so closely with these business leaders. You get to know them and the intimate details of their lives, their dreams, their sorrows, but also know about their families. It's hard not to talk about them so openly because we can, right? I know who you're talking about. I love this guy. He's just an amazing family man, and the things that he's done in the last, 6 months, Tim? He has completely 180'd his life. He has had more experiences in life in the last 6 months, dare I say, than he's had his entire life. After he went through the Alpha Reset and just saw who he really was as a powerful man, he's taken the bull by the horns and has led his family, his business to levels that are just absolutely amazing. And when we talk about regrets, like what regrets we have, when I asked him, if he had any regrets, he just looked at me with tears in his eyes and just said, I wish I would have done this sooner.
Wow.
Wow. So, when I look at when he told that story, and you and I have heard we've followed this journey as it relates to his in-laws and, his version of the story as well. And then hearing this new chapter where we're in Marrakesh every single day, he was talking to his mother-in-law, which they hadn't talked in 10 years, right? Hadn't talked in 10 years. And every single day, he was talking with her, catching up, and she was saying, I want you to call me mother. I want you to call me mom. And son, what foods do you like? Because I want to cook them for you. I'll learn to cook. I'll make it halal, And what, Tim, something that was cool, and we're going off topic, but I'm just so happy for this guy. And I'm sure you heard this. So he meets his in-laws. This is the kind of guy he is. He meets his in-laws and they have lunch and they say, look, you're Muslim, we're Hindu, but, so we want to be respectful of you, so feel free to order meat, chicken, what have you. And that's okay. And he said, no. He's like, I do eat that. And, and my wife does, your daughter. But out of respect for you and your religious views, I'm going to eat vegetarian during this meal. And that's just the man that I am. And he wasn't doing this to show off or anything. It is the man that he is. And it just shows the caliber of men that come through the program. And, one of the reasons he got the Brother's Brother Award is he does this and he embodies it day in and day out.
Yeah, and when we talk about missing out on things, to give this even more context, 12 months ago, so that on the day that he won the award, 29th of June, he somehow was scrolling through his messages around the dinner table. And it turns out that 12 months ago, to the exact date, so the 29th of June, 2018, I had first sent him a video. Now, this guy, I think he entered the Facebook group around just a week or two before that. And I remember sending him the video. I remember recording it. I think you actually challenged me to send all the videos out. And I sent one to him, basically welcoming him to the group and inviting him onto a call. Now, he didn't accept the invitation because back then he was riddled with anxiety. He had put a tracker on his dad's car, so he knew where his dad was going because he was afraid that his dad was going to basically die. And he was really afraid of that. He lived in fear of that. It was a very irrational fear that he lived with for a very long time. He would get a headache and he'd convince himself that he had a brain tumor. He'd take himself to the hospital. He hadn't been into the office in his business for 3 months because he was avoiding it. He had many other different things in his life that he was going through. And as a result, he turned to food. So he was quite overweight as well. He used food as a source of comfort. He used to sleep with the light on because of an experience he had when he was younger. Right up until the Alpha Reset, he slept with the light on. So to give this some context, this guy 12 months ago was a completely different guy. Totally different guy. He then joined the program in September, end of September 2018. And then coming to Morocco, like you said, Doug, when we talk about, things, life passing you by, because the type of upbringing he had never cooked. So he'd never cut an onion. He'd never loaded a dishwasher. He had never, he was afraid of dogs. He had never been on a quad. So in Morocco, one of the days we went into the desert on quads. And at first he arrived there and he was like, I am not doing this. Where is the ambulance? Where is the nearest hospital? How quickly can an ambulance get to me? So he started to go into his old story and his old pattern. And then he then was convinced to then get onto, in fact, to have his own quad. But that didn't start. So he got on the back of somebody else's quad. It was funny because I was riding behind him and I could hear him screaming. He was screaming and holding on to Mike, like with dear life. Halfway through, he'd warmed to it, and then he switched and he was riding the quad and Mike was on the back. And he just went, he went crazy. He loved it. Full throttle, screaming with joy, screaming with laughter. Got off the quad. He's like, I've got to get myself one of them. How have I not let myself do this all this time? So point being is, for him, he's had so many experiences and life has become so rich for him because he's given himself permission to really experience the small things in life. Before, he thought life was all about winning the six-figure business deals and in a million. He often tells a story of how he wasn't even there for the birth of his kids. He rang his wife, wished her well to go into hospital. He wasn't even there to cut the cord. He was in the office. He's got 3 children. Whereas now he's really savoring life. And I think him meeting his in-laws and seeing his father-in-law's reaction and that conversation his father-in-law was having, that painful conversation with himself, has affirmed to him even more what really matters in life. And I think so often we can get lured into a false belief system as men that the way to provide as a man is to make money. The only thing that matters in life is money. The more pain we can tolerate and the more we can sacrifice, the more of a man we are. All these beliefs that we often buy into just cause us to miss out on life. And before we know it, we're 50 years old and sure, we have money in the bank, but we've got a string of failed relationships, kids that don't want to spend time with you, and you're suffering with ill health.
Yeah, you just can't live life with regrets at all. I mean, whether it be one extreme case or another, regrets come out in the same pattern. And, your life is your life. Your regrets, your regrets. So if you're listening to this episode and you're taking anything from it, if you have regrets or if you have things in your life that you're just not stepping to the line, you're not stepping up to, this is your call out. This is your time to change. Don't let another day pass you by. Whether it be calling, the girl you love or the woman you love, or telling somebody you care about them, whether it be friends, or whether it be taking a course or hiring a coach or coming through the activation method to better yourself so you can help your family, or whether it be to doing something in your business or traveling. Do not let another moment pass you by with regrets. And I think that's the message Tim and I are trying to get to you here is, man, we'd love to see you the next time we go on an adventure, whether it be Marrakesh or somewhere else, and to hear your story of your successes, and not to hear, one of the people that unfortunately gets on the phone and says, look, another year has passed by and nothing's changed.
So true. And the worst thing is, some of those guys have reached a point whereby they've lived with the regret for so long, and the regret invariably revolves around loved ones, usually, doesn't it? The ones that we experience. And the most painful ones are when the men have reached the point whereby they realize that they must change, but then it's too late. The people around them have just pulled away because they've been hurt too much.
Yeah. Well, I know, Tim, when I made my lifestyle change, gosh, this was back in 2007 when I made that journal entry that I've talked to you about. But I just saw so many people around me who were wealthy, so many people around me who, you look at a checklist of what most people define as successful, they had it. But their life was riddled with regrets. and to transfer that to a mobile lifestyle, now where you and I travel the world working with men to help them better their lives so they can better their families, their businesses, and their communities, to living a location independent life. In fact, this morning, my wife and I were deciding, are we going to live in Canada, next week, or are we going to go down to another country? What are we going to do? And that's our problem right now. And running companies, and you and I were just in the Sahara Desert 2 weeks ago, in the Sahara Desert, in a luxury tent camping site, with showers, literally in the sand dunes you see in the movies, but yet you and I have a tent with showers in them, right? Our own separate tents. Talk about making sure you don't live life with regrets. And guys, you don't have to go to the extremes. I wouldn't even call them extremes. Tim and I have just made choices in our lives not to live with regrets, to go after and savor what life has to offer. And I want to let you know that exists for you. That opportunity truly exists for you. If one man can do it, so can you. And I got to tell you, there's nothing special about me. And I'll let everybody else know.
Careful.
No offense.
Careful.
There's nothing special about Tim either. You guys can have it too. You just got to do the work. You got to be willing to do the inner work to get there. Whatever your goals can be. You may not want to run multiple businesses and travel around the world. You may want to do something else. My dream is my dream, and my journey is my journey, and Tim's is his. But for you men, what I want you to know is list down, do the rocking chair test. Tim, you and I have talked about that. The rocking chair test is if Tim and I are sitting on a rocking chair, or I'll just use me. If I'm sitting on a rocking chair in my 80s, what regrets would I have? Is it not spending enough time with family? Right? Is it not traveling as much? What are those regrets for you? Is it the relationships you have, not being present with your kids? What are those regrets when you're 80? And now, today, in this moment, make the changes. And that starts with doing the inner work, guys. You've got to do the inner work. Go to the mental gym. That's what the activation method is designed for. And I would be lying if I didn't tell you it was the best program that I've ever seen, because I was scared that you thought I was over promoting something that I'm involved in. But the truth is, it is the best program I've ever seen. And it's kudos to you, Tim, and the other coaches, because your hands are in it. But do something for yourself, guys. Do something for yourself today in this moment to ensure that you will not live a life with regrets, sitting on that porch at 80, just wishing you would have taken action sooner.
Wow. So true.
Well, guys, that's a short episode for us, but I hope you get something from it. And again, I'm going to encourage you to take action right now as soon as we stop this. And if you haven't already, we'd love it and appreciate if you would rate us and leave us a review so other men like you can find the work and can do better. Until the next episode, have an amazing day, and we'll talk to you soon.